Hello and welcome to another episode of the Q for You podcast. How are you guys today? Good?
I'm good, man.
Pretty good.
Okay, cool. I'm doing good also. It's getting hot in here, but it's fine because we're going to be talking about one of what I think is one of the best K-dramas ever, but it's just my opinion. I'm not a K-drama connoisseur. I've watched quite a few, but I don't feel like I'm an expert, but this is one of my favorites. We're going to be talking about Fated to Love You from 2014. So, real quick, hello, this is me, Mia Fran, or just Mia. Hi, hello. Please introduce yourselves as well.
My name is Chantal, or Marshmallow Love on YouTube.
And I am Erica Sakura-Rose08 on Twitter.
Welcome back, everybody. We finally have started with our first K-drama that we're talking about. And again, it's Fated to Love You. It's actually the Korean version of a Chinese and Taiwanese drama from like 2008, actually. Yeah. So it's originally a Taiwanese drama.
And there's they also made a Japanese one. That was not good. I watched like pieces of that. It was so boring. Of the Japanese one.
I was like introduced to Fated to Love You, like 3 or 4 years ago probably at this point, from one of my best friends, Brianna, who, shout out, she still is like, I think about that show a lot, and I'm like, yeah, good for you, man, because you showed it to me. Like, I'm so grateful that she showed it to me. But she's one of my best friends, and she told me I had to watch it. So when I did, I don't know, I discovered I discovered something. I had an epiphany, and that was when I started watching K-dramas, was after I watched Fated to Love You. And just in general, it's a great show. Highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it already, I don't know why you're listening to this episode, because we're gonna spoil everything pretty much, I assume. So let's just go ahead and discuss Fated to Love You. So first off, your general thoughts on the series as a whole. Maybe don't try to like spoil or anything, but like, just what your overall thoughts are now that you've finished watching it for the first time. Whoever wants to go first.
Definitely a wild ride, man. I was like always constantly thinking, because I think we went through like 3 episodes a day at least.
Yeah, that's how we finished it really fast.
Yeah, but like, damn, man, that's definitely not what I expected. And this is like my first ever K-drama. I have not seen any beforehand. And
yay.
Yeah, so now I understand why you love it so much, and I'm just like,
exactly.
Damn it, this is probably gonna have like be near and dear for me for like the rest of my life. Oh my gosh. And I mean, Mia can testify to this. She heard me like constantly screaming, making noises, so I wouldn't cry.
It was definitely a wild ride.
It was like so much bullshit happened, so much tears, and it was great, man.
Well, and like, this isn't the first time I watched it with somebody else, like had a watch along with someone else before. I watched it with Anna, our previous guest in our last episode. Please go check the episode out on Mystic Messenger. Shameless plug for our last episode, but I watched it with her a couple years ago, and again, we both had a wild, crazy ride. And I remember because Brianna had watched, my friend Brianna, who introduced it to me, she watched it first, then made me watch it. And then when she came to visit me back in like 2015, so actually it's probably been like 5 years at this point. 5 or 6 years actually since I've watched it. Yeah, 2015, I think it was 2015. When she came to visit me in 2015, we watched some of it together as well, and my god, man. So yeah, this is like the 6th or 7th time I've watched it, and I still cry every time. But anyway, do you have anything else to say?
It's a lot similar to Jane the Virgin, so that's why I'm like, I feel like you'll definitely like Jane the Virgin, even though it's not like obviously K-drama, but it has like those, what I like to call telenovela aspects in this one too. So I was like, damn, like there's so many similarities, and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna like this. And sure enough, I am in love with this K-drama. It was good, man. Good pick, Mia.
Thanks, man. Okay. So Erica, this wasn't your first K-drama. Like, you've watched other ones before this one. So, like, how does it compare? Well, first, what are your general thoughts after watching it, and then, like, how does it compare to, like, other shows you've already seen?
When I watched it at first, I was like, what the hell is happening? Because it goes from, like, one plot point to, like, them being together, like, you know, on vacation or whatever, and it just jumps from everywhere. Like, I was like, what the heck is going on? And then, like, as the show, like, kind of built a stronger foundation, like, the story got better, I kind of just fell in love with the characters, like Myung and Glenn and all the other characters that there were, because at first I did not like the main male lead because I thought he was annoying, but I got used to him and I ended up loving him. So I don't know, it was crazy, like you guys have said. It's just like, it's an emotional roller coaster. You're like, one minute you're laughing, one minute you're crying, one minute you're like, what the heck is happening? Like, you just never know what you're gonna get sometimes.
How does it compare to, like, the other ones you've seen already?
I
mean, like, just standard K-drama, I guess. Like,
I've only seen, besides this one, I've seen one K-drama for this, a J-drama, and then I'm watching a Chinese drama. But, like, other than that, like, the story is good. Like, it's a lot more put together than some K-dramas are, because some of them just, like, the pacing is weird, but this one had really good pacing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I definitely agree with the pacing comment, because, yeah, it's, like, because you get a whole hour where I feel like, I mean, a lot of K-dramas they are, like, hour-long episodes. Like, Boys Over Flowers is also, like, hour-long episodes. I think all of the K-dramas I've watched have all been, like, an hour-long episode. So I like that you get an hour long because, again, like, the pacing is, like, it gives it more time to, like, have the story happen over time, but also, like, it feels like it goes by really fast. Like, oh, we, like, just started the episode, like, 5 minutes ago. It's, like, already almost over. Like, so much has happened. I definitely really like the way the story goes and it pace. And, you know, there's a time skip, but I like where the time skip happens. Well, the major time skip, like the time skip of, like, years. I like where it happens in the story because it's like there's only like 3 episodes left after that, and it's like, what the fuck else can happen? Like, what happened these 3 years, and, like, how are you gonna resolve what happened these 3 years from the last episode to, like, these last 3? Like, what, like, you know, so the last 3 episodes are, like, really, like, fast paced pretty much, but I like that. I like how it finishes in terms of,
because you're already used to the characters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's easy to understand, like, where they've been, how they got here, and, like, where they're gonna go from here in, like, you know, a shorter amount of time. So okay, awesome. I'm glad you guys both enjoyed it, just in general. Now we're gonna get into, like, the meat and potatoes of the actual show. So let's go ahead and talk about let's talk about the plot real quick. This just the general story. So basically, you have your typical let's see, how would I describe Lee Gun? Your typical, like, arrogant, like, CEO guy character. He's, like, super rich, super handsome guy. He's, like, the CEO of his family's company, and he's in his, like, early 30s, or, like, late 20s, early 30s. So, like, clearly he has to, like, get married soon, like, produce an heir, whatever, you know, your typical plot point stuff.
Yep.
And then you have your K-drama plot point. Really, in general, like, any kind of drama plot point, I feel like, but yeah.
It's true. It's true.
And then you have our wonderful female lead, Kim Myung, and she is referred to as a post-it note because she's just kind of, you know, doing all these different tasks for everyone in her office. She's kind of like a second thought, just like a post-it. You wrote a little note, posted it on your thing, and once it's done, you throw it away. So that's why she's called a post-it. But I love Myung. She's, like, one of my favorite characters in the show. Actually, Gun is, like, my favorite character, but we can get into that later. But I love Myung. Like, I love when you first meet her. Like, she's already super positive. about like her life. Like she, tries to look at everything in a positive light because she just wants like things to go well for everyone around her. She is very selfless, and she cares a lot about her family and her friends, and she just wants everyone to do well. And so that's why she's very prone to not saying no. She always says yes to things. People ask her to do favors and like, oh, can you throw this away for me? You're already going to the trash. Can you please do that? And of course she'll say yes. Helping people out is one thing she really likes doing. And I love how her personality and like the way she does things, it doesn't change completely. It just evolves once you get to like the end of the series, which I think is really interesting. But basically these two characters are fated to meet due to some strange circumstances, and they are kind of pulled into each other's lives and are forced to marry each other basically, and calamity ensues basically. And characters fall in love with each other, and other characters fall in love with other characters, and there's love triangles and crazy side characters. But yeah, so that's like in general without me spoiling literally anything. But now we're gonna go into actual spoilers. So who should we talk about? Because we can talk about how the plot and story moves along as we talk about the characters, I think. Does anybody want to go first? Like, what character you want to talk about?
It's up to you.
Okay. Okay, we can just talk about the main leads, or two leads that I just mentioned, Gun and Mi-young. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts first before I give my own thoughts. Well, just because I mean, I've watched the show like a bunch of times, so I don't want to get stuck talking and rambling for too long before you guys have a chance to say anything. So whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, Mi-young is like so freaking adorable. I love her so much. She's super, obviously very like shy and timid at the very beginning, and that's why she ends up being like a pushover when people try to get her to do stuff, and like she feels kind of bad, even though she's like, her best friend's like on the side being like, don't you do it, bitch, don't do it. But she still ends up doing it anyway. But because of that, that's how she ends up meeting Gun. So things happen for a reason. And she she's her attitude's always been like that. She's just really, really kind to the very bottom of her heart. She's just super sweet, and even though so much bullshit happens to her, she's still like the kind and generous person. She's always thinking about others and putting everybody else before her. And it isn't until the time skip that she kind of learns to start putting herself first so she doesn't get hurt again. But at the same time, like during that time skip, I'm like, girl, come on, stop.
Yeah.
But I do like that she, like you said, evolves into more of like this stronger, independent girl that doesn't like let all this bullshit like come in between like her happiness anymore. Even though basically she's the main one that's coming in between the happiness and what she really wants at the end of the day. But the same can be said about Gun, because both of them are very, very stubborn in the time skip because they think they are better without each other when it's not true, because they love each other so much. And then Gun, oh my gosh, he's such an arrogant little shit, but I love him too. He is such a fun character, especially when you hear his laugh. Man, I like look forward to that old dumbass laugh every time he comes in.
Oh. I feel like the laugh is like either you love it or you hate it.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And thanks to him meeting Mi-young, he ends up like changing little by little. He becomes more like very sensitive, compassionate, and more kind, and like kind of thinks about before doing something. Like he kind of, because before he would just go ahead and do it, he would never really thought about like the consequences that his actions could bring. But after meeting her, he like kind of thinks about it. He's like, well, if I do this, then this is probably what's gonna happen, so maybe not stir the pot. So, and yeah, and things happened with Gun that is very sad, very tragic. I want to cry again just thinking about it.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that later when we get into like actual spoilers.
Yeah. But because of that change, it like throws their relationship into chaos. But you know, things work out in the end. But overall, he's such a fun character, man. I enjoyed him overall. Like, I didn't think he was gonna be one of my favorites, but he's definitely one of my favorites.
So like when I first like watched this show and I met Myung, like she is the type of character that, like Chantal said, that will do anything for anybody, won't say no. She just like she will just like do whatever you need all the time. That's why people took advantage of her a lot. It was nice to see that throughout the series she kind of still had that little bit of like, I don't know, like selflessness, but as she grew, she learned to become a little bit more selfish and think about herself for once. She will do anything for anybody, to the point where people will take advantage of her and like push her over to get things done. But I think that throughout the series, through the people she meets, Gun and others, she learns to become stronger and think about herself for once, while still having a little bit of like that little bit of selflessness that she still has, but there's times where she has to think about herself more than others, a little bit, like I said, it's due to the events that happen to her throughout the series. She becomes a stronger person and just learns to keep those memories of those events that happen and learn from them, and not necessarily forget them, but just like keep them kind of in her heart, because those types of memories make you more confident, make you make you stronger, and there's just things you can learn from. Well, and then Gun is the type of, like I thought I said, he is the person that's very arrogant and very selfish and only thinks about himself, and he's like very like outgoing and kind of a little too much for some people, because at first to be honest, I did not like him. I thought he's just being an annoying jerk at first, but as soon as like the story went on, he became a lot more soft-hearted, a lot more sensitive, a lot more considerate to people's emotions and to things that are going on around him, like due to, like as I said with Myung, due to the people he meets, like her family, her friends. He learns a lot from those events as well that happen. He learns that he is not the only thing that's worth fighting for in his life. He has more like other people he cares about and that care about him, and it was just nice to see him, like as Mia said, like evolve throughout this story while keeping his same little quirkiness about him that I don't know, I came to love it towards the end of it. So he just like kind of meshed two different sides of himself, the kind of arrogant like self-centered part, but also being kind of sensitive depending on the situation and the people he meets. He became like a more well-rounded character, and I really like that. So
yay. Okay, so now we've got the two leads kind of out of the way. I mean, we'll discuss them further, but let's talk about our like secondary leads, which is Daniel, D Pit, everyone's favorite neighborhood oppa, and Kang Sera, who is Gun's girlfriend, and is a ballerina in the New York Ballet. And these two are linked to our main leads because Daniel becomes friends with Myung when she marries Gun, and he kind of becomes like her neighborhood protector, and he hangs out with her, becomes, you know, very good friends with her. And then Sera is Gun's girlfriend, as I mentioned 5 seconds ago. Let's go ahead and talk about them. So what are your guys' like just thoughts about the characters? We can discuss everything else like regarding, you know, how they fit in the plot and everything and stuff when we talk about the just everything else in general. But
well, Mia already knew. I like how she's like, oh, so you're
like,
Team
yeah.
Daniel? I'm like, it's too soon to tell.
I'm Team Daniel.
It's too soon to tell. That's what I told her, because I don't like to judge anything until the very last second of the story, because I feel like after that, that's when you really get to know their full personalities and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna judge anything as of now. But Daniel is a very good boy through and through. Definitely a huge difference between him and Sera. But Daniel definitely puts others' feelings before himself, even though he does want to be selfish and wants to be with Mi-young, but you know, he puts those feelings aside for a bit until, you know, things happen in the story that we will discuss later. But he's very artistic, which is really weird. I told this to Mia too. Like, it gave me some kind of Yusuke Kitagawa vibes from Persona 5 with his art.
Yeah, it's like weird art shit. So like,
I blurted that out, and Mia just started bursting out laughing. And she was like, "You're right." I was like,
Yeah.
"Like, tell me I'm wrong." Like, if you guys Google a picture about his art, I'm pretty sure you guys will agree with me.
I got some cringy flashbacks from from Yusuke's art Persona 5. Yeah, I definitely like Daniel, you know, I'm sure they made him out to be like a good artist, but like when they go to like his show, I'm like, what the fuck is half this shit? Like, how, like, why are people coming to see, like, what the fuck? I don't know. I'm not an art person. I don't get it.
Because it was like random stuff, like furniture that could be like bought, or I don't know, like it was weird. Anyway, maybe we're just not that artistic.
I think his cafe was a lot nicer in terms of like showing off work, like than his like art exhibit or his expo, I guess.
Yeah, but he is a good boy. You find out like that he wants to find a certain someone in his life. I'm sure we'll discuss later as we discuss, you know, more spoilers in the plot and stuff. Even with all the bullshit that happens to him, he's still like a very kind, sweet guy, and the way that him and Mi-young like interact is just like it feels natural. But if anything, I do feel like it was more of like a sibling relationship than anything, instead of like more of like a love interest. At least that's what I felt like at the very end of it. I definitely do like how things ended with them. Like, there was no bitter ill will feelings. He could have been that guy who could have been like super selfish and wanted to keep Mi-young to himself, but he didn't. He decided to choose his morals over his feelings, which I very much appreciate. And I feel like I'm holding myself back because, like I said, we're gonna talk about him in like more details. But yeah, and Sera, on the other hand, is like the whole different side of the coin. This girl is super bitter, very like your typical, I would say, like middle school, high school bitch. Like, she's
definitely like a scorned lover. Like, she tries to get her revenge.
Yeah, which I mean, it makes the story interesting, but also you just can't help but hate her. I feel like they wrote her really, really well for you to hate this character. And like, even with all the bullshit that happens and the stuff that she causes, like, oh my gosh, it was so irritating seeing her like cry over herself and be like, but because of this happened, like, it shouldn't be happening. It's like, bitch, you're the one that caused all this stuff to happen. Why are you fucking crying? If anyone should be crying, it should be Mi-young. But you know what, whatever. Because she's basically the one that stirs the pot. Like 90% of the time, it's always something that she's doing, and if she sees an opportunity, she'll take it. And it's like, she's not afraid to get her hands dirty, and she's not afraid to like meddle in between like Myung and Gun's relationship, which is like such a huge no, like such a low blow. Like I don't know how someone can be so like mean like that. Like
Spiteful.
it's so like, oh my gosh. And even like at the end of the story, like I still didn't really like her. Like, yeah, it's nice that she's like toned it down a little bit and she's trying to redeem herself, but at the same time, it's like the damage has been done. I don't feel sorry for you at this point, bitch.
Yeah, it's really hard, and we'll discuss it later. But yeah, it's kind of, yeah. Even watching it a million times, for me, it's like I still like don't feel too much sympathy for her. With the shit that she goes through. You know, it's sad, and you know, you feel for her a little bit, but it's like, you know, when she's crying about, you know, Gun doesn't want to be with me anymore, blah blah blah, you know, my perfect life is ruined. It's like, you did that to yourself. I kept saying that when we were watching it.
Yep.
It's like, you did that to yourself. You're the one that fucking left, and you didn't tell him. Like, you left, you made that decision on your own, and you have to face the consequences. And, you know, all the other shit, granted, she didn't know some of the shit.
She still didn't feel bad, even though she knew all the stuff that was happening. She was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make it mine. It's like, bitch, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with the person I didn't like, in terms of secondary characters the most, which would be Seta, because she is, like Chantal said, like, the bitchy, spiteful character that, like, will, like, make anybody's life a living hell because she doesn't get what she wants. But like the thing is that she, like as Mia said, she did this to herself. She chose between two things, but one thing went out. Like she chose one thing over the person that she liked, that she loved more than anything, and she couldn't accept the ramifications of her actions. She couldn't see that she was hurting somebody that she said that she loved, that she cared about. She couldn't see that she was hurting her family. She couldn't see that she was just very single-minded in what her path that she wanted, and she just forgot everybody else. Like, she threw them to the side until she wanted to, like, bring them back. She was that type of character, but I think I have to, I mean, as the story went on, she kind of, like, I don't know, she kind of accepted the fact of where Myung and Gun were in terms of, like, a relationship. I don't know, she still has this little bit of, it should be me. Why is she taking my place in his relationship? But I think that, like, towards the end of it, she kind of just, like, accepted those feelings, and she found something else to put her time into, I guess. I don't know, but she was like with Gun for me at first. Like, I did not like her because her and Gun are so similar. That's probably why I didn't like them, but they kind of grew and were shaped into decent people. I don't know, towards the end of the show. And Daniel, I love Daniel. He is like that person that, like, he's like how Gun and Sarah are similar. He and Young are similar. They will do what they have to do for the people that they love, because Daniel's situation is something that he has to deal with, and he voices his thoughts to Young, and she helps him out. Like, she helps him, gives him encouragement, and that's why their relationship kind of got to the place where it was. At the end of the series, I think he accepts that. He also accepts Myung and Gun's relationship. He knows that even though he has a place in Myung's heart, that the Gun has a bigger place, but she will always have some type of, like, feelings for him, but not those types of feelings, just different feelings. And they became closer as friends. They learned to help each other become better people and to learn from each other as well. So
we've talked about, like, the main four characters, so we can, like, now go into the story. I feel like, because we can talk about the other secondary characters, like, as we discuss the story and the plot and everything, and we can go into more detail about the main characters as well. So let's just go ahead and just kind of talk about the story in general and the characters and how everything fits together. So, well, real quick here, I'll give my thoughts about the main 4 characters, because I don't think I really went into too much of my own detail. So Gun and Mi-young. So Gun is like my favorite character, and he's become my favorite character after watching the show so many times, because just like noticing all the different like subtleties in not only just the performance but like just in the character in general. I like have really come to just like once you watch it a second time after watching it the first time, like knowing that, you know, once you get into like the second half after the whole amnesia thing and everything with Gun, once you kind of understand immediately why he's doing what he wants to do, because he's already in love with Mi-young at that point, but like understanding why he pushes her away and everything, like just made me just, oh my god, like feel even more, I don't know, like more I felt more for this character. And like every time I watch it, you know, just the littlest things, like when I think like, oh, but he's doing this because he loves her, like every time I think that when certain things happen in the show, I like get, you know, super choked up. I'm like, you know, already crying and everything whenever I rewatch it, because you know, knowing that he falls in love with her and, you know, wants to be with her, but he feels like he can't, or like he doesn't deserve to be with her, like really kind of like elevated my love for that character. And then with Mi-young, again, I love her outfits first and foremost. She dresses so cute. Like I wish I had that cute style. I love how she becomes her own person, you know, once she goes away for 3 years and kind of figures out who she wants to be and is allowed to you know, say no to more people and, you know, say yes to the things that she really wants to say yes to. Yeah, she finds her own footing and then, you know, comes back home a stronger, more steadfast person, while she is still, you know, being considerate and kind and loving towards, you know, the people in her life that she loves and cares for. And then our other 2 characters, Daniel, I feel like the first time I watched it, I always thought Daniel was just like really annoying, because I'm like, no, get like go away, like you're ruining my you're ruining my perfect, cute, like tropey filled love with Gun and Mi-young, like stop. But again, as watching it over and over again, like I've come to appreciate what Daniel does, because you know, yes, like at the beginning it kind of turns into it starts at like, you know, first he kind of shoots himself in the foot in terms of like getting in a relationship with her, because he pretends to be a priest. So he like lies to her first and foremost, like, oh, I'm totally a priest, so you can, you know, come to me for your problems, whatever. So, you know, she thinks he's a priest and everything. And it doesn't help him that he kind of just like decides, or I guess allows himself to be her quote unquote her neighborhood oppa. Like he watches over her like a sister and everything. And you know, it's not till later that you know, I do appreciate the character. I do like the character, because I like that there is somebody for Mi-young when she's going through hard times, because, you know, she can't talk to Gun about how she feels, because, you know, she knows that he's still in love with Sera, and of course he has to repeat that shit all the time at the beginning of their marriage. You know, always having to remind her, we're only married because of A, B, and C, not because I like you or anything. I'm in love with my girlfriend, whatever. So I do like that Daniel is always there for Mi-young, kind of like get her out of every jam that she gets into. And again, I like that he also grows. I mean, he's very reluctant, clearly, like you can tell as the story goes on, like, you know, he wants to be with Mi-young, and he feels like, you know, she can be happy with him, you know, you don't need a gun, you like, I'm always here for you, like why can't you see that I'm here all the time for you, whatever. But you know, there's 3 years where they're together all the time and we don't get to see that. But once they both come back, you can kind of see like how close they have gotten, but you can still kind of see, at least on her end, that she, you know, the whole time though, she's still thinking about Gun in the back of her mind, because she's, you know, in love with him. And you know, she kind of she doesn't like push Daniel to the side or anything. She keeps him close to her, but you know, I do appreciate when she eventually rejects his proposal, that, you know, she's nice and honest about it. but she tells him, like, you know, it doesn't mean I don't hate you. It doesn't mean I hate you or anything. I love you, but I don't love you in that way. But I'm very thankful that you've always been there for me. So I like that Daniel, doesn't become one of those characters that's like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna ruin your relationship anyway. Like, no, he doesn't become that. So I've grown to appreciate the character a lot more than when I first watched it and thought he was just, like, annoying. And then Seta, she's just still a fucking bitch. My humble opinion. She did it to herself. She cries and complains about everything, even though she goes back to she goes back to New York to do ballet again. Like, she goes away, she comes back, and she goes again. And then when she comes back again and quits being a ballerina and becomes a teacher instead, she's kind of stuck there. I mean, being a teacher isn't a bad thing, but she kind of makes it seem like, well, I had to settle for this, and, like, you know, it's fine. I like being a teacher, whatever. You know, my students are great and all, but she's still kind of like, I kind of agree with, like, what her mom tells her is, like, you know, why are you still friends with this man that broke your heart? Why can't you just, like, move on? It's clearly causing you pain. Like, you need to, like, stop it. Which is why I never felt too bad for her whenever she had, like, a confrontation with her mom, because, I mean, it's like, your mom's kind of right, man. You kind of, like, did that to yourself. I mean, sure, you make your own decisions, but once you make the decision, you can't really complain about it too much. But anyway, so let's talk about the big plot point in this show, which we haven't mentioned yet, and that is the reason that Gun and Myung get married is because they have a one-night stand with each other. That wasn't meant to happen. It just kind of happens because they both get, like, drugged. Kind of, yeah. Well, not kind of, they do. But also the door numbers, again, it's fate. Fate leads them to have a one-night stand with each other, which results in Myung getting pregnant. And so, you know, Gun is supposed to produce an heir because his family has a history of, like, Huntington's disease, and all the men in his family have, like, always died in, like, their 30s, so he needs to produce an heir, so if he does show symptoms of the disease and dies suddenly, they have an heir to take over the company when they come of age. So it's like a time crunch, basically. So, you know, they're gonna jump at the chance, especially Gun's grandma, who is, like, the chairwoman of the company. I love the grandma. She's, like, one of my favorite characters. So she's kind of, like, okay with it. You know, she's like, yo, we're gonna have a baby in our family, and she's all excited. She welcomes Myung with open arms to the family. Not only because she's, you know, the mother of the future great-grandchild, but because Myung is also a kind, respectable, wonderful person, and, you know, everyone in Gun's family can see that she's, you know, has good intentions and is a good person, and so they all kind of fall in love with her too. And they love her, they love her being part of their family. So that's the main plot point, because Gun is still in love with Seta when he, accidentally gets Myung pregnant, and Myung kind of just, you know, is kind of thrust into this new life as a wife of a rich CEO, because she comes from, like, a little sea town. I don't know, I guess we could just kind of talk about maybe your favorite plot points or favorite beats in the story, I guess. If you guys want to discuss that, feel free to mention.
You started that, man.
Okay. All right. So, you know, we have the beginning where Gun and Myung actually don't meet, like, first off with their one-night stand. They actually meet at the shopping mall. Myung is set out on a task for her boss, so she has to go to the mall to buy all this candy for her boss's daughter. And she goes to this store, buys a bunch of shit that she has to go buy, and Gun is looking for an engagement ring because he's gonna propose to Seta so they can, you know, finally get married, because they've been dating for like 6 years or something like that. Gotta get that shit going. And he finds a ring, thinks it looks perfect. The two end up running into each other, and the ring goes flying, and Myung, you know, seeing that someone's in trouble and just wants to help, she goes after the ring, and Gun kind of, like, goes after her to, you know, see if this crazy woman can, you know, go get his ring. So I feel like that's the first big moment in the show, is them meeting each other and chasing the ring in the shopping mall. And I really like that part. I think it's really great, because I like when they call back to it.
Yeah, they always call back to it throughout the whole show, and just think back on it. And like, man, who would have thought that that would have been like the thing that causes like everything to like basically kind of like a domino effect.
The catalyst of their whole relationship is just from running through the mall looking for a ring.
And I like that the candy, the cherry flavored like lollipop, also like plays a big part in it, because you know it's just a candy, but the its symbolism is like really important because it also like shows up throughout the story. Because it's like if you're really in love with someone, you like give them that candy or whatever. If you want them to find true happiness, you give them that candy or whatever. And it's like, it's really cute. I like that later on when Gun basically gives Myung like a makeover to kind of show up the coworker she went on her like one vacation, because she went a vacation to Macau, which is actually it's like the Venetian resort in Macau, that they go to that same resort and to Macau in Boys Over Flowers. Which because I watched Boys Over Flowers after I watched Fated to Love You, and I was like, what the fuck? They really like to shoot over there in Macau. It's like the rich people destination, I guess. But once they find the ring, she catches it on her finger. But then they also talk about, like, he gets mad at her because he's like, you know, what the fuck? Like, this is a proposal ring. Like, someone's already worn it now, because she catches the ring on her finger, or she slides it onto her finger so it doesn't fall away. And they have to go chase after it again. And that ends up being the ring that when they first get married to each other, he has to use that ring and put it on her finger when they first get married. So it's like, it was like actually destiny. Like, the ring was meant for that one person. I mean, we have 2 love triangles basically in this show. So, you know, we can talk about how that intertwines with the whole story. So you have your first love triangle, which is Gun, Daniel, and Myung. You know, she can go either way with them. And then you also have Gun, Myung, and Sera. Maybe I'm just like pure vanilla whatever, but I mean, I only wanted Gun and Myung to be together. Never once was I like, oh no, she could totally go with Daniel, it's fine. Like, no, I never was like it's cute.
Yeah,
but
me neither. Yeah. Like, now that you're mentioning it, yeah, like, I'd never really had, like, the violent urge for her to be like, oh, you should be with Daniel, like, he's better. Like, never have I thought that. I was always like, but what about Gun?
Yeah. Especially when you see, like, when you see him kind of, like, slowly, like, fall in love with Myung, too. Like, when you see Gun slowly fall in love with Myung, it's like, no, they need to be together. Like, I don't want her to get with Daniel. Because there's points where I feel like Daniel really has a good chance of, like, snatching her away.
Yeah, but even then, like, you can see, like, she gets kind of awkward when he tries to get close, and she's like, what are you doing? But I think at that point, it's also because she's already met Gun, and she does like him. She doesn't, like, say it out loud at first, but you can slowly, gradually tell, like, she's falling in love with him, too. So it's kind of too late for Daniel anyway. Like, Myung and Daniel are, like, on the same wavelength, and, like, you know, sometimes it can go great if you meet someone else that's similar to you, but you can't grow as a person if you have someone who can't lift you up. And I think that's better with Myung and Gun, because these two end up changing each other for the better. Like, yeah, there's some bullshit and sad stuff happening throughout the whole thing, and Gun being, you know, really harsh with her with his words and constantly reminding her that she's always going to be second best in the relationship because he's thinking about Sera. And even though you can tell that he's fallen in love with Myung, he still has to say that. And it's just like, boy, why are you saying that? Like, stop denying it, man. Stop. Yeah, like, they do change each other for the better. Like, she ends up being a strong, independent person because of everything she's been with Gun. And then Gun slowly starts to become more of a, you know, open, generous kind of person because of Myung. So it goes both ways, and I really like that. And I feel like, yeah, like, the relationship definitely does better when you have someone else who can change you and, you know, call you on your bullshit and more than anything, like change it for the better. Like, I don't know how else I can explain that. Like,
yeah, because like Daniel definitely opens doors for Mi-young to succeed. Like he's the one who says like, "Oh, you should come to France with me. You can, go to school there and study art and, become an artist because I think you have potential." But like, Gun also really opens doors for her in terms of like, again, like how you just said, becoming a better person. Like, sure, Daniel helps her become a better person too, but he mostly is just kind of like comforting her, whereas Gun will do things that make her make decisions in terms of like her feelings and what she decides to do with that kind of stuff.
Because Gun's always constantly telling her like, hey, why are you being such a pushover? Like, you're not gonna get anywhere in life if you let people like run you over all the time. Yeah, it's just like, like, I'll do better, but like gradually you start to see that.
Yeah, you have to be a Bond girl, not a Post-it girl. Like, I like when he tells you like, I turned you into a Bond girl and you became a Post-it again. You can't do that.
Because, like, even during those 3 years that she ends up with Daniel, like, nothing in their relationship really changes. Like, she's still, like, again, she does become more independent and more, like, of a stronger person. But that's not because of Daniel. That's because of all the shit that she went through with Gun. Daniel doesn't deserve the credit, in my opinion. He was just there, like you said, to be her shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
That was it. He was just someone that could listen to her problems. He really was just a friend. That's it. Like, I really never saw too much of a connection like that between them. Like, maybe Daniel, he might have hoped that there was a connection there and wanted it to be more, but on Mi-young's side, you can tell like she definitely didn't want anything. Like, she even says so herself in the show, like, if things happen the way that happened, she like tells herself, like, maybe I can be happy with Daniel and like possibly have a family with him, but like at the same time she knows that she's like, well, that's not the way to go and it's not fair to him if I don't feel the same way.
Yeah, I feel like she would just be a Post-it again if she like eventually it would just go she'd just go through the motions, I feel like. Whereas with Gun, it's like, no, she like is in love with him and wants to be with him even though he's put her through so much shit. Just the way he acts and stuff. But again, there's reasoning for that. But also, I feel like her, and it's a trope kind of thing. But her and Gunn are also more connected to each other because they're together because they're gonna have a child together. So they're bonding on a whole different level of like, okay, well, we're not only together, but like, we made a life together, or we're making a life together. Like, we're gonna have a kid. Like, this kid is half you and half me. Like, once the kid is in the picture, it's like, even I feel like, even when people get divorced and stuff, it's like, well, no, you still have a connection. Even if you absolutely don't love the person anymore or whatever, like, you still have a connection through your child because you made that child together. So however their relationship was going to end up, if they were to have that child, they were still going to have that connection with each other that she and Daniel don't have because she's not pregnant with his child.
And then you also have like the other side, which, like I said, it's like a whole other side of the coin, which is like, I feel like the bad apple of the whole thing. More like toxic. It's just because of Seta. Seta is just such a toxic person. Just even the things that she would say, it would piss me off because she's so selfish and self-centered. Like, everything has to be about her, and I'm just like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, she never once thinks about like other people's feelings or like thinks about Gun's feelings, even though she claims to love him so much. Like, she chose to go back to New York, like you said. She made that decision, and now she has to deal with the consequences with that, and she doesn't want to deal with the consequences. She just wants to sit there and cry like a little kid and just bitch about it the rest of her life. And it's just like, no, bitch, you made your decision already. If you had not gone, none of this shit would have happened. So she just wants to blame everybody else for her problems. Like, oh my god, like, she's so frustrating. She never grows as a person.
Yeah,
like, even as a very last second, she's still such a salty ass bitch, because even Daniel asked her like, oh, how do you feel now that those two are together? And she's just like, well, you know, she makes like this snarky ass comment, and I'm like, yeah, she's still salty and very bitter that those two ended up together.
I feel like she's the only character that doesn't care about other characters' feelings, because she doesn't even like decide to, whenever she and Mi-young talk to each other privately, she's always just confronting her with like bombarding her with questions, or just like confronting her with like false information. She doesn't ever like take the time to listen to like what Mi-young has to say, or like her side of the story, like, you know, because I feel like, I don't know, me personally, if that was me, I would at least kind of want to hear the other woman's side of the story, like, well, what do you have to say about it, you know, like, I don't know you, so like, how can I judge you?
Yeah, and then she doesn't even like talk to Gun about it. So it's like she's just making her own opinions based on what she's seeing, and it's just like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, you can at least ask Gun, like, what does this mean? Like, when she takes the documents that she basically the documents that he scraped away and had like a whole different thing, you know, planning out before the whole amnesia thing happened. She just kind of sees it, takes it, and she's just like, here, bitch, he doesn't love you, so,
and he's gonna take your baby away from you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, that's not the full picture, this fucking bitch. Like, it pissed me off so much, because poor Mi-young was like so heartbroken, and she was like, there's no way he could do this, like, there's just no way. And I'm just like, like, it's so frustrating.
Well, so then they get forced to get married. So then they're married, and Mi-young basically gets to, you know, become part, but you know, Gun also becomes part of her family too. And I really like his relationship with her mom.
Yeah, it's because
I fucking love her mom.
Yeah, dude, the way that her mom was like beating up like Mi-young and then Gun, like, she gave no shit. She was just like, fuck you guys, like, what the fuck were you guys thinking? I was like, she's literally acting like any other like Hispanic mom out there. Like, beat the shit out of her kid.
I feel like Asian moms and Hispanic moms like are on the same wavelength.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it was so hilarious, because every time that Gun would do something stupid, I was like, you better not, because Mi-young's mom is gonna come with that wooden stick and come beat your ass. Oh my gosh. But like, throughout the whole thing, I think that what really set it off for Gun with Mi-young's mom was like when they were at that what was it, like a wedding or a party or something?
Yeah, her mom went to a wedding for like her friend's daughter.
Yeah, and he tells Gun, like, you know, think of me as your mom, like, I'm your mom. And the face that he makes, like, it kind of sinks in for him, like, oh, like, I have a mom. Because he's never really, I guess, had that, because we find out that, you know, his parents died a while ago. We don't know how long his mom died.
They died in a car accident together
mm-hmm.
in like 1992 or something like that. So
yeah, so he's never like necessarily had like a mom figure for too long, I want to say, because like we don't know like what age that happened with him that I can remember anyway. But
I think he was like maybe like 10 or 11, probably something like that. I think.
Yeah, so he definitely lacked like a mother figure for a while, and to have like someone like Mi-young's mom, where like she's like constantly like checking up on them, and like she is like super inviting and like really warm and welcome with him, and like they're both like they love the company that they have like with each other, because even after the time skip, like he still goes out of his way to see her. And like there's a point where Mi-young is like, why are you seeing my mom? Like, she's my mom. And he's like, well, we were married, you can't just take away someone that I think of as a mom. Like she's a mom to me too. Like, you can't just be selfish like that either.
Yeah.
And she thinks of it and she's like, shit, he's kind of right. But she also wants to like snap back at him and be like, no, like, you can't. That just shows you like how deep that relationship between him and Mi-young's mom ended up being, and how much he really appreciates it.
Especially to the point where like when he asks her, can I marry Mi-young again, because spoiler alert, they get divorced and then they're gonna get married again. She like, it's really heartbreaking when her mom tells him like, you know, I don't think you guys should get married again. You know, I love both of you very much, but you guys shouldn't get married. I can't let you get married because at that point everybody knows that he might get the disease, and so she, out of she's a concerned mother, she tells him, I can't let her be alone. Like, if you were to die, she would be alone, and I don't want her to be alone. I don't want that to happen to her because she wouldn't be able to handle it. So no.
Yeah. And then she's talking from experience too, because she also lost her husband.
Yeah.
So she knows what it's gonna be like for Mi-young. And then what happened too between Mi-young and Gun, like, she's like, well, I don't want to see like my daughter heartbroken like that again. Like, that was devastating. So she's kind of like stuck in the middle for like, she sees both sides, but at the same time she's just like, no, because I really don't want to see the two of you in pain again. Like, that was just a lot.
Like, I like the mom because she's just like a no-nonsense, tell it like it is mom. Like, if you're doing something wrong, she'll like tell it to your face, like, hey, stop. And I think that's something that Gun wasn't used to, because he's used to somebody always saying, like, always agreeing with him all the time. He's like to have a person that only is used to somebody just like constantly agreeing with him all the time. And I think that once he meets Mi-young and her family and her mom, that they form a relationship that he didn't, like, as you guys said, that he didn't really have because his parents died. He loved his mom a lot, and I think that the mom kind of fills that hole in his heart that his mom was to him. And she like messes with him and like jokes around with him, but she will tell him give him good advice. She will tell him when he's wrong. She will tell him, like, you shouldn't be doing this. I don't want you to like you said, Mia, like when they got divorced, that she didn't want him to go back to her because she didn't want Mi-young to go through all those emotions again of having to like have it of their previous relationship. It's very nice to see, like, he's like a second family with her family. And it was just very nice to see that that Mi-young's mom could have such an impact on him as a person and show him ways to grow as a person with Mi-young and with those around him. So yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that, like you mentioned, he has like a second family with her family. Yeah, definitely, because, you know, we get to know her sisters and her brother-in-law and stuff, and, you know, they're a wacky bunch of people as well. Especially like the brother-in-law and the soap factory president. Like, I love those characters. They're great. I mean, it is kind of their fault that like everything happened anyway, and they kind of like pat themselves on the back at the end. You know, they're like, well, you know, if it wasn't for us, this wouldn't have happened. But it's like, yeah, but you guys almost like fucked everything up too. So but yeah, I really love the relationship. I like that he keeps the relationship with her mom after she leaves to go to France and they get divorced. Because yeah, it's like, you know, well, you know, she was my mom and she still is my mom to me, and, you know, who, like, you have no control over that relationship. Like, it's none of your, you know, you're not part of that relationship between me and her. So if I want to come here and eat anchovy lettuce wrap, I will.
Yeah, I like the nickname he gave her, like the lettuce wrap lady.
Yeah,
It's funny.
Yeah, I love that too. He comes over and is his big boisterous self, like, lettuce wrap lady, please feed me, I'm hungry. So funny. And I like that, like, he kind of, like, him being in their life kind of, like, makes her mom kind of, like, soften towards them, I think, too. Like, you know, she's kind of like, okay, you know, whatever. Like, just hurry up and eat and get out of here. Like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that part of the relationship. Well, I guess speaking of the pain that they go through, we have to kind of talk about the big painful thing in the show is the reason why they get divorced. So basically, Gun gets amnesia at one point, because we find out that him and Myung have the same birthday, which I always thought was super cute. I'm like, oh my god, that's so fucking adorable. So, you know, they're gonna celebrate their birthday together, and she goes to wait for him, and then he has to go to this meeting because the like board of the company or the chairman group or whatever, they don't think Gun is fit to be CEO right now. They want him to resign because he's been acting kind of weird, and they, you know, they don't think he's you know, able to fulfill his duties as CEO, so they want him to resign. So they're trying to have a meeting, and you know, on the way to the meeting, he is like, no, I need to go back to Myung, she's waiting for me. And he kind of collapses, and you know, amnesia is one of the like symptoms of the disease, so you know, it's very scary. They think he's you know, it's finally shown up that he's gonna, you know, die soon, or you know, that it's finally time to, you know, start thinking about that stuff, because you know, again, it can, you know, kill him at any moment. And he forgets the last 3 months of what happened, and of course he conveniently forgets his whole marriage to Myung. He only remembers her as the Bond girl that he gave a makeover to. Or no, the ring. Sorry, not the He remembers as far as them meeting the very first time with the ring. So he doesn't remember the stuff in Macau either. And you know, it's this whole thing. He kind of is, you know, little by little told what happened. He finds out because Myung lies to him and tells him that she's his secretary, and that, you know, isn't true. And he figures that out. He finds out that, you know, he got her pregnant and everything, and he tells her, you know, he's back to his like old personality, I guess. And he's basically like, okay, well, we just need to, you know, when the child is born, you can go ahead and just give me parental rights, whatever, you know, and I'll compensate you. I'll pay you, like, you know, money so you can live comfortably. And that way, you know, you never say anything about it. But we also learned that later he does get his memories back, and it's not until Myung kind of realizes that his memories are back as she tries to go after him, and, you know, another cliche happens. She gets hit by a car. They show it too. It was brutal as fuck.
That was.
It was like,
I legit was like, I gasped like when I saw that. I was like, oh my god. Like,
yeah,
it shocked me.
Yeah, like you know, it's blurry in the background, but you see it happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's not in focus, but it's, you know, on the screen. And she gets hit by a car, and I mean, at that point, she's only like 3 months pregnant, so she's like not even showing or anything. And that it's, you know, the baby's not like fully formed or anything, but she loses the baby, and that is like just so devastating for them, because at that point, you know, they've been falling in love with each other. They're planning all this cute stuff, you know, they've got stuff for the baby, they're buying clothes, and they've got stuff set up in the house, and, you know, they're taking like prenatal classes with each other, and, you know, they make their baby's first clothes together. They wrote letters to the baby and everything, and
they were reading to it,
yeah,
like that.
They're like, it's really just crazy, because once she learns, like, because she tells him, you know, if anything happens to me, like, just, you know,
choose the baby.
Don't save me, save the baby. Even though my thing, I was like, I don't know how that would have happened anyway. Because, like, okay, if she was like 7 or 8 months pregnant, okay, maybe, sure. Yeah. But she's like barely, like, it's like, you know, barely started. Yeah, like, there was no way. And just the way he tells her too, where he tells her like, "Oh no, I told them to go away. They're not here anymore.
I told them to leave.
Yeah,
I told them to leave. Yeah."
It's just
And she's
so,
like,
oh my
yeah,
god.
and she's like, no, that's not true. And she like started like screaming and hitting him, and like, oh my god, like that's the one point. That was the point where I like kind of started crying. I don't know, like having all that preparation, all those memories that they made, and having to lose something that they were so excited for, like as soon to be parents. That's like really soul crushing for somebody like,
Especially since, you know, it's their first kid and they were, you know, they were kind of thrust into the situation, but again, you know, they were falling in love with each other, and it's really hard. It's really hard to see it, because then, you know, she's like upset and everything, and then her mom comes in. Oh my god. It's just like,
It's a lot.
it's a lot to watch. And then of course right after he like gives her he puts the fucking candy on the door, and he basically is like, well, I'm gonna just take myself out of her life, because at that point then he kind of decides, I love her, but I can't be with her. I don't deserve to be with her, because every time she's with me, like, I only cause her pain. And now that this happened, I feel like he feels like every time if she were to stay with him, he would just feel like he would just cause her even more pain. Which is why when she asks him, because she goes to him and tells him like, hey, you know, if you want to start over, we can totally start over, because, you know, I think we had a good thing going on, and, you know, we lost the baby, but I mean, we're still married, we can try. She's like willing to try again.
Yeah.
But that's when he tells her like, no.
Even like as me being a mom, I was just like, oh my god, like it was really, really, really hard to watch. And then the way that she breaks down reminded me so much of like the scene. I won't spoil it but yeah, there's a certain scene in Jane the Virgin where Jane like starts like bawling, crying, kind of like how Mi Young did, but for different reasons. And I was just like, it was giving me flashbacks of that show. And I was like, God fucking damn it, not again.
Yeah.
But that was just very heartbreaking. And then just thinking about everything that they've been through, it's just like, how much more bullshit can they go through? Like, when are they gonna be like happy? When is like certain people not gonna like meddle into their relationship? Like, just so much stuff happens. And man, it's a lot. It's definitely. And then when he puts like that lollipop and he says, you know, if I have any last bit of happiness left in me, I want it all to go with her. And I was just like, no, don't.
I was like, oh my god. Because at that point, you know that he's in love with her, like, extremely. It's like, you know, you've gone through all the silly shit with him and everything, but like at this point, it's like, no, dude, I've seen you. You've fallen in love with her like so hard. Like, just stay with her.
Like, even with him having amnesia at first, like, eventually he remembered, and, like, when Seta tries to stop him, he's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something important. Like, there's something else out there. And I was like, yes, go after her, please. So you can tell, like, even without his memories, and he doesn't, like, know the full story, he's still in love with her. Like, deep, deep down in there, he knows.
Yeah.
She's the one. Not this bitch ass Seta.
even like, you know, during the relationship and everything later on, like when because even early on, I guess we can kind of talk about like how he falls in love with her, because I feel like that's a really important, because clearly she falls in love with him like really fast.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a handsome guy. He's, you know, sure, he's a handsome rich guy, but like, I don't know, I guess she likes how they work together. I guess she's, you know, she just kind of, because he helps her. I think she falls in love with him as soon as he helps her out in Macau. I really love seeing how Gun falls in love with Mi Young.
It's more slow, like, progresses slowly with him than it does with Mi Young. Yeah, like, even when with Mi Young was like with Daniel, and Daniel's just like, why him? Like, why? And she's like, well, he's like, you see this one side of a person, but I see like a whole different side of him every day. And he's like this kind, generous person. And she's like speaking so highly and sweet of him. And I'm just like, yep, she's in love. It's so sweet. Like, the way that she talks about Gun, despite like how other people see him, she has complete faith in him and like trusts him fully. because she knows what kind of guy he truly is.
Yeah,
you
I
can
like
watch
the lollipop motif. I like that it kind of shows up again when she comes back, because the first thing she painted that they really liked was like the painting with the lollipop shapes in it.
Yeah, and then when Gun sees it, oh my gosh.
Yeah, when he's like, wait a minute.
So he knows, like, at that point, her true feelings.
Yeah.
And he tries to confront her. And then she also is like, no, you don't have the right to tell me anything. Oh my gosh. Like, they just kind of, like, at that point, they go back and forth with each other. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like, please, like, stop.
Yeah, because at that point, so this is after the time skip. So 3 years passes and Mi-young comes back from France because now she's a famous artist called Elle Kim. Elle Kim. And actually, like, that art, like, the art that she does, like, that's an actual artist's art.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy, like, the bags and stuff that they sell, you can buy those. They're super fucking expensive. So, like, they use an actual artist's artwork and everything, and the bags and stuff, like, that shit's real. It's cute art. It's not something I would probably buy for myself, but
it's cute.
It's cute.
But it's cute.
Like, my thing is, like, okay, it's a little overkill when her whole fucking office is, like, decorated with it.
with the pattern, yeah.
It's cute, you know? And, so she becomes a famous artist, and I like that, you know, they go out of their way to tell you, like, well, Gun is still single, he hasn't been dating anyone for the past 3 years, and literally everyone is like, you should just get back together with Mi-young.
I like how with the grandma, they're looking for suitors for Gun. And the grandma, because, like, I think at that point it's Mi-young's friend that's doing, like, the whole suitor thing and, like, showing them pictures.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, you guys have denied, like, all of these people. Like, what type of person do you want? And I like how the grandma's just thinking fondly about Mi-young. And she's like, yeah, someone like Mi-young. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is becoming, like, a We Love Mi-young club.
Yeah. I like that. When you see all the different pictures of the different girls that they have, like, lined up, it's like, it's Jang Nara, like, the actress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just pictures of her, like, just further, like, showing you, like, oh no, he belongs with Mi-young. It's just, like, pictures of her, but, like, different hairstyles and shit, but it's like, no, that's, like, clearly her. I love that.
Yeah.
So she comes back and is, like, a super famous artist now, and she's having her first, like, big art exhibition in Korea, and I love that, like, Gun goes to it, like, all secretive and shit, pretends it's like a big business thing, like, he, you know, he really doesn't care, whatever. He tries to be real secretive about it, like, kind of hide around, to the point where they play the fucking Inspector Gadget theme song. What the fuck? I remember the first time I watched that, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, is this, like, is this music not copyrighted in Korea? I guess it's not, because they can just use it, I guess.
No.
I just thought it was so fucking hilarious that they used that. And they used fucking music from the Princess Diaries, too, and I was like...
Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just... God, that's so funny. That's so fucking hilarious, man. That's so... But I love the lengths he goes to just to, like, go see her, because he's thought about her for 3 years. He's still in love with her after 3 years, after he truly realizes that he is in love with her.
Yeah.
To the point where he kept all the baby shit.
Yeah.
That's
in
what
his,
really
like,
broke
downstairs,
me.
His, like,
Man
room or
cave.
whatever.
His, like, man
Yeah,
cave.
Yeah, basement, like, man cave thing.
But I love that, like, he buys her, like, the biggest, like, flower display or whatever. He's like from
Daniel, that gigolo bastard.
Yeah, he calls him a gigolo bastard. I fucking love that shit. Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. Cause he, you know, once he kind of sees, and you can see this as he slowly falls in love with Mi-young, is like, when he sees her with Daniel, that's when he think, but I'm actually jealous, and is like, and he kind of, like, uses it as, you know, excuse to say, like, well, this is my wife, so leave my wife alone. I don't know what you're doing here with my wife, but
she's my wife.
yeah, it's like, he doesn't like Daniel. Daniel doesn't like Gun. But again, you know, Mi-young's the only one who can kind of see, like, everyone who, like, for who they truly are. And like, Gun learns to, you know, love that too. Because, you know, once he realizes that he's, like, super in love with her and everything, like, you know, there's no going back. Because even so, you know, like, for the last 3 years, he's gone to the spot on the anniversary of when they lost the baby, to the spot where it happened, and he always, you know, he buys a cake and eats it there and talks to their unborn child and everything, to the point where she gets mad at him when she sees him there, and she's like, you don't have to keep coming here anymore, you don't have to do that.
But it's because she doesn't know the full story.
Yeah, and like that's when I'm like, that's the only time I get like kind of mad at Myung. I'm like, no, Myung,
Me
like, what
too.
the fuck? Like, girl, it was his kid too, like, and he's been here the last 3 years, you left.
Like, she was being really harsh there, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, stop. You're gonna regret it later.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, she does later.
I like that, like, I think it's a really sweet parallel when she is still pregnant and she talks to the baby a lot by herself, and then once the baby is gone, like, he talks to the baby now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like and like you can just tell that he loves her so much, the way he like talks to her, like talks about her to their baby. It's like, oh my god, like, it's so cute.
It's really
It's like, just tell her you fucking love her. Holy shit.
Yeah, because he's always like, mommy misses you, mommy thinks about you a lot. Like, he still tries to keep that memory of that baby, like, of that child alive, but they do it in different ways. But I can see why Myung would get mad, because they grieve in different ways. He grieves by like going back to the spot and like kind of thinking about what could have been with the baby, and like why what happened, and she just kind of, she didn't necessarily forget, she kind of repressed that memory kind of a little bit, because it was just painful. And then she kind of got mad at him because he kept mentioning it, or like constantly, like, I don't know, kind of bringing it up. But she couldn't see that he was part of that life too, and he loved that child as much as she did. So I don't know. Well.
Yeah, and I like, because I can see why she would get mad at him, but it's also because like she didn't know the details. Like, she, at that point, she thinks like he just gave everything up because he didn't love her. But of course, we know that he was in love with her then. He just couldn't say anything because she doesn't know about the disease. Like, she doesn't learn about that until he's gonna fucking resign.
And she's like, why didn't you tell me?
And and it's like, and that scene, when they finally get back together and everything, is like, so, oh my god. Because one, it's in front of like the fucking cameras, but also it's like I like the way that he kind of explains it to her, and is like, I don't deserve to be loved by you. Like, I don't, like, you deserve better. Why? Like, why are you making a decision for me? Like, why are you saying that I would just leave once I learned the truth?
Yeah. And she's saying, like, nobody can love me like you can. Like, you were part of my life for, even if it was just a little while, like, they created a connection. And she's like, who are you to tell me who to love if I love you? Like, can you just accept the fact that I love you and that you love me? So, like, I don't know. I don't know. That's what I got from that scene.
And she didn't even find out until, like, people, like, the whole entire cast, basically, like, the people around them were the ones meddling constantly, trying to get them together, like, pulling the strings behind the scenes to get them to interact and get them together. If it's not, like, the brother or the secretary.
Oh.
And in this case, the reason why she learned the truth about his disease and stuff is because of the lawyer. He slips in the little recording of what the whole
his like last will.
His will. And then that's when she listens to it, and that's where, and she ends up going over to the house, and then that's when she finds like the whole videotapes and like seeing him like break down and actually say like his true feelings, like everything that he's feeling from the heart. And that's when she breaks down and she starts crying. She feels guilty because she thinks back to when she tells Gunn, like, you're a horrible person because you threw away our baby and I didn't. I dealt with it. I went through all this, and acted like you didn't care, and I was like,
yeah, dude, and yeah, like when the part you just like mentioned when he breaks down in front of the camera when he says like, how can I ask her to stay with me? That like that's some of the, oh my god, like because he makes videos to like show himself if he ever gets amnesia again. He makes videos to remind himself like, this is who you are, this is the woman you love, this is who she is, this is her name and everything. She, you know, he describes her in, you know, all this wonderful detail, and he basically, you know, is like retelling the story of what happened between them. And then it just, yeah, it cuts to like another video of him like breaking down, saying like, how could I ever ask her to be with me after all of this, on top of me having this disease that could kill me at any point in time.
Yep.
Like, how could she stay with me after that?
Because like just her discovering like the truth, and then realizing the stuff that Sera said, she was like, okay, but what exactly is the truth? Like, but Sera told me this, and I'm like, she lied to you, girl.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a good person. Like, don't trust her. Don't trust her words. Damn it.
And I also like the part where he's like, how can I ask you to love me when I don't know how long I have left because of this disease? And she's like, so what? Like, we'll love each other until that happens, and even beyond. Like, you're just because if you end up like passing away at some point, doesn't mean our love is gone. It's like our love will always be there. And like that's what I kind of got from what she kind of said, because he didn't know how to explain the disease, like the disease and the actions he was doing, like pushing her away to like you know, and just it's just he kind of got to see her side of this whole situation, and her telling him that their love will outlast, like if anything ever happened, their love will like still be a part of their memories. Like it was very sweet.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I love that scene. And then it's all just happy times after that.
We also get like a parallel. I want to bring it before I forget about it, but like the parallels between Gun's dad and him, and because we learned the truth of like why he left, and it's the same exact reason why he left them was the same reason that Gun left Mi-young.
Yeah.
And he obviously, the dad, we learned through the diary as he reads it, because the other side lady,
like his mistress, who actually wasn't really his mistress, she's just like some lady he helped out.
Yeah,
because it turns out his half brother is not his half brother, but it's okay. They treat him like the half brother still anyway.
Yeah.
Aww.
So he learns like the truth about like his dad's story through the diary, and like how much his dad regrets them, and how much he wishes he could be with Gun and like his mom, and like it's just like, goddamn, like he's basically he did the same thing that Gun did, but like he actually went through with it. They never really ended up, I guess, resolving anything. Like, I don't know what happened, because you know they got into the accident, so who knows. Because even at the end he said like, oh well, I feel like I need to go back. Like he eventually does go back.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like,
it's like
in the diary,
I think it's right after he goes back to Gun and Mom, that's when they get in the car accident.
Okay, yeah. Like even in the diary he's like, don't make the same mistake that I did. I hope he doesn't make it. And I was just like, oh, he almost did.
And I love that they have Jang Hyuk, who plays Gun, play his dad too when he's younger. Like, I fucking love that. And then you learn why he does that stupid laugh. Because his dad tells him, okay, whenever you feel like nervous or scared or you don't know what to do, you just like start laughing like that, and it'll, you know,
it'll calm you down. It'll cushion, you know, whatever is going on, and it's kind of like a fail-safe, I guess, to get you out of like looking like that, looking nervous or tense or anything. Like it kind of, it's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, again, it's like he does it a lot. So once you kind of learn why he does that, and then you watch the whole show again after knowing everything, it's, oh my god. Again, that's why he's my favorite character. Is because, you know, you learn all of these different things, and like, yeah, rewatching it a second time, it's like, you know, or a millionth time, it's very apparent that there's more to him than just being like an arrogant CEO kind of character. After you watch it the first time. But yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. When they go to the tree on their second wedding day, oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
They're late to their second wedding, because then, you know, they're gonna get married again. And eventually they do convince her mom to allow them to get married, and she comes to the wedding late also.
Yeah.
And they get married, and they go on their honeymoon, and then of course freaking I love the chief secretary. I fucking love that character. He's fucking great.
Secretary Talk.
Yeah, I fucking love him.
Yeah,
I fucking love him. He's one of my favorites.
He was one of my favorite side characters too. He was hilarious.
Him and the half brother, like Young, him and Young are like such a good team.
Yeah.
I fucking love them. Because at first you don't like Young, you don't like the half brother. He's fucking annoying because the fucking. We could call her the stepmom. She's not really the stepmom, but that's basically what she is. But yeah. She's basically like trying to get Young to be like the new head of the family. Even though she's kept a secret that Young is not actually like a member of their family, but whatever. Like, she's trying some shady ass shit the whole time, and Young kind of helps her out until he, you know, gets to spend time with Young, and he, you know, considers her, calls her sister-in-law and everything. He considers her a good person, and then he falls in love with her best friend.
Oh yeah.
And they get together at the end, which is really cute because I love those two characters too. But I like him and Chief Secretary like trying to what is their operation called? It's like Operation
like recreate Macau.
Recreate Macau, yeah. And so they try to recreate the first pregnancy the first time or a second time, and it doesn't work. I like that the second time, like when she gets pregnant again at the end. But I like that the second time, this time it's because they love each other. Yeah. It's not by accident. Like, this is on purpose and because they love each other. I guess some real cute, it's Korean, so, you know, there's nothing, it's like it's softcore, like PG stuff. But it's like, ooh, like,
yeah, it was like,
you get kind of like, ooh. Yeah, definitely really spicy, but I'm like, I am enjoying this because it's like, damn it, finally they can, you know, get it on.
It took 19 episodes to
get they can finally get it on without being inebriated or, you know, compromised. Yeah. And I like that it happens after, like, you know, this really sweet conversation of them just, like, sitting there together and, you know, saying, like, you know, that they love each other and that they're always going to be there for each other. And you get the little spiciness after that. And then cut to, I don't know, a few months later, and she's pregnant. But I love that everybody else is like, please let them get pregnant again. Please. And to the point where the grandma's like asking like all the ancestors, like, please let them get pregnant. And then the stepmom comes in and is like, let's make it twins. and then they get pregnant with twins, and then their kids are really cute at the end. They show what the kids look like.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. Like, it's like the cutest thing. And then, like, I love at the very end he reads like a story of the snail princess falling in love with like the arrogant prince, and she changes him. And I just love that, like, the last scene too, where it's like, okay, they've been married now for like a few years because the kids aren't like, they look like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old probably. Yeah, like they're like little kids. But I like that you can see now it's like they're super comfortable with each other, and like they thank you. Like, I love that they just thank each other. Like, they're just like, thank you for being with me and for loving me. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I'm like tearing up just thinking about the last scene. It's just so cute.
And he's always
okay.
like, and then they're always like, I like the little nickname that they give each other, like Princess Myung and Prince Lee Gun.
Yeah.
Like they call them Prince and Princess, and it's really sweet. Like, I don't know.
No, it's super cute. I love that too. I like how sometimes I like during when she's Ellie Kim. I mean, I guess she's still technically Ellie Kim at that point at the end too.
Yeah.
When he's, you know, trying not to show her that like he's still in love with her when they're working together on the collaboration. Where he'll call her Ellie Kim, like all, you know, whatever. But then sometimes he can like kind of go in there and kind of like dig a little and call her Kim Young instead. Like, I like that. Also, I really like when they spend time together in her friend's apartment.
Oh yeah,
when
that
they're
was
like,
cute.
we need to like live separately together, be together for a little bit before we get married. Like, I love that they bring back like the ducks that like her mom gives her when they first got married.
Oh,
And
I
he
forgot
told her
about
like at the beginning, like, those, why did you bring those? They don't like match up with the room or whatever. And then she's asking, like, this second time she's asking, like, oh, where should they go? And she kind of like teases him and is like, well, last time you said they didn't go with the room, so I don't know, where would you put them? And I like that he kind of like acknowledges, he's like, you know, for like back then, I'm sorry that I said that. Like, I like that he kind of acknowledges, like, yeah, I was a jerk.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Like, I love that they're comfortable enough at that point to like, they're able to talk about things together because they both, because at that point they're in love with each other and they know it. So
yeah, like they're able to like play around and be joking and
yeah,
but then then still have serious and like meaningful conversations when they have to. So
yeah, like
the
when
whole
she
scene in the apartment was cute.
Yeah, like when she pulls out the poker chip too. I love that part.
I know.
When she's like, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And he's like, yes, I do. It's just like, oh, so cute.
I like the part like also with the ducks, like she's putting the dishes away and he puts the ducks like on the Roomba,
yeah.
vacuum or whatever. He's like, Neon, look, and he like moves it to where she's at, and he's like, look, and she like feels the vacuum on her foot or whatever, and she like looks down. He's like, yeah, there's those ducks that you love so much, and then the whole thing with them trying to decide where they're supposed to be, and that whole scene was very cute.
I love their like cutesy parts. They're just so cute. Like, I just once they're like together, it like gets even cuter. But you know, I am a sucker for the scenes when he's also kind of like trying to deny that he's falling in love with her, but it's like, dude, come on. Like when they're sharing the bed together and he really wants to just like his urges kind of try to take over, and like he just kind of wants to, you know, be with her in the bed, you know, that way.
He's like, when did the snail become so sexy?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, when did the snail become so irresistibly sexy? It's just like,
and he like talks to the dog, like he like talks to people about her, like she's like so irresistible, like, or something like that, and he's like, what can I do?
Oh yeah, when he's like, there's another me that comes out. Kind of reminds me of like Zen saying like, I'm gonna release the beast. Like, it's kind of like that. He kind of has that kind of like same kind of like energy, I guess. But I think that's super funny because he really wants to, you know, just like take her, and you know, but it's like I just think it's really funny that he's like, I really want to, but I'm not going to, but I really want to. I don't know what's happening to me. And I like the snail thing. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
All the fucking like weird 3D snails. Because he says that she's like a snail, like he compared like a snail that, you know, is stuck and won't leave.
Yeah.
That's what he calls her, a snail.
And another thing I really liked, like when towards the beginning of their like marriage the first time, like when they're still kind of like not used to each other and they're kind of like arguing all the time, and like they go and like she's like eating in the kitchen, and then like he's like, what's going on? He goes down to the kitchen, he's like, what's going on? And then she's like, oh shit, I gotta like leave, and she's like hiding beneath the table, and then she tries to like hit the lights, and he's like, what's going on? And he hits the lights, and she hits the lights, and like that was fun.
I love that scene too. Yeah, I love that one too. very strange that the light switches are on opposite sides. I mean, it's for the funny gag, but
Yeah.
But that was still funny though.
yeah, I like that he like gets all freaked out and is like, what the hell? Like what? Like why are you down here? Like what's going on? And she's just kind of like, well, you know, I'm pregnant, kind of hungry.
I'm hungry.
The stuff my sister was eating earlier looked good. A lot of the food in this show looked really good.
Yeah.
Except maybe the like fermented stingray. That shit looks gross.
That was gross.
I don't like seafood, but the stuff she mixes up together to eat in that scene looked super good.
Yeah.
And then of course he always has to order a fucking Americano.
Yeah.
That they never drink, as you said.
Yeah.
I know, every time they drink something in this show, like they order it and like take a sip and then it's like
They leave it there.
They leave.
And I like her little lunch boxes that she makes.
Oh
them.
yeah, when
like
she
her
makes
little faces.
Yeah, their little faces. It's so cute.
He gets so excited every time she comes for lunch. He's like, "What's he gonna bring for you today?"
I know, and then when she doesn't
then,
bring
like,
him like anything fancy, he's like, "Oh."
Oh, my favorite are the prenatal classes, like all of them, because something
That was
always has to
funny.
happen. The whole when he doesn't want to touch her because it's like awkward, and then when they're like knitting the baby onesie thing, like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's always late at that point,
Mhm.
but then he shows up and he's like
He gets into the.
I'm gonna show you how good I can sew this fucking thing. And then he
Watch.
sews it like real good and it looks really nice. Or then like when she's
Yeah.
gonna start writing the letter for him because he's not there, and her
Yeah.
like impression of him, I love that one.
And then when he gets here, he like makes it a big giant like he makes it a big deal, like a bigger deal. And she's like, "This is for a wish for the baby." And he's like, "I know, babies should like learn how to be a good person in society." He makes it like a bigger deal than it actually kind of is, and it was funny.
I like when he comes into the room and he's like, "Do I really?" He's like, "Are you saying I really sound like that? Because I don't think that's how I sound." I like how she does her impression too. She like tries to put on a little. That's so funny, a little voice, and he's like, "No,
Yeah.
just write down. I'll dictate it, and you write down what I say." So funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I like the last thing I'll say that I liked in terms of moments was the like where they're reading to the baby, like, and she's like reading that I don't know, it's like a lion story or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's
And
like
they're,
a
they
it's like
start
a
acting
Korean
with the
folktale.
voices. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they're like acting. He's like, "Why are you doing that?" And then like he gets into the story, and they start acting out the sounds, and they start laughing at each other and like getting more comfortable with each other. And that was really cute. Not just
Yeah, like you can tell, like as they kind of like have to spend more time with each other, like they kind of grow like that. Like that's when like because it's like in episode 9, I think, or episode 10, when he finally
Yeah,
like actually
wow.
kisses her. Like actually kisses her on the lips at the auction
yeah.
is like the most satisfying thing. Like I remember when we watched it, Chantal was like, "Finally."
I know.
So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that part. Okay, so what I was gonna bring up was like I think like two last things in terms of like moments and stuff or plot points or whatever. The other like big plot point is when she comes back from Korea or from France, excuse me. When she comes back to Korea from France, and it's her art expo, and they're selling the art. And she has one picture, and that's of a child. And he sees the painting, and he immediately wants to buy it. And so he
Yeah.
buys it, but like makes sure it's discreet under a name. And then she's kind of like, "Oh no, this painting isn't for sale." But they're like, "Oh, but we already like wrote down their info and sold it, and like they've already paid us." So she tries to convince this mystery seller or buyer, "Hey, I really wasn't intending on selling that. If you could please just give it back."
Return it.
And so
yeah.
he has to pretend to be this like customer, and he pretends to be this old lady, I guess. And I love the conversations they have when she thinks that he's this other person. I love how they like show the conversations, because they first start off where they're just texting each other and calling on the phone and stuff, but then I love the way they show their conversation in terms of like how they film it, because I think my favorite one though is when they're sitting in like the little courtyard at the house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like they're sitting next to each other, and it also happens in her office too. Like he's in the room with her, but it's just so they can like actually talk out loud and say the lines and talk to each other. Like this is their text conversation, but I love that they chose to film it where they're both in the room together, or like on screen together talking, like they're having a regular conversation. And I just love that because you like the way he looks at her every time they have these conversations in these scenes. It's like, oh my god, my heart. I don't know how you guys felt about those scenes, but those are like some of my favorite scenes in the whole show.
No. I like that the art is like the snail thing that he always did with her.
Yeah, the little snail,
The little hands
pants thing.
It's so cute.
Yeah,
But it also adds more to pain.
Yeah, because the child's painting is kind of representative of what their baby would have been, I guess. And so he talks to the painting as if it was their child, which is really sad when he decides to like give it back to her, and that's when he kind of spies on Daniel's proposal to her. And you know, I felt bad.
Honestly,
I felt bad for Daniel in that moment. You know, she rejects him, but
Yeah.
it's a cute proposal.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like that is still a really inventive proposal. Like, but I like I said, I understood why she ended up like rejecting him. But that proposal was very unique and like not something I would have seen that I would have thought of.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I wanted to bring up was the other like big like plot point thing has to do with Daniel, and he's looking for his like long lost sister because him and his sister are like in an orphanage and they were both like adopted. So Daniel was adopted and moved to like America, so he like grew up there or whatever, and he comes back to Korea to look for his sister. And throughout the whole thing, like, there's so many points where it's like, oh, that could be his sister. Like, they might have found her. This one girl fucking pretends to be the sister.
Yeah.
But it's more like just to get money from him. And Mi-young finds out and kind of confronts this girl. And then Daniel finds out because, you know, he kind of walks in on the conversation. But, like, she has the same name as Daniel's sister, Kim Mi-young. But it turns out our favorite character, all of our favorite characters,
the best character,
Seta, is actually Daniel's biological sister. So,
Ooh.
I mean, you know, they have each other in the end. Sibling love is still love. They definitely, you know, they comfort each other at the end. You guys don't have anything else you want to say? Because I have my own questions, but it's just a little bit.
I don't know what questions you have, but I wanted to say something about the music.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The music is interesting because, like, at one point you'll get like a sweeping like romantic score, and you'll get like some like K-pop popular music stuff, and then you'll get like movie scores like the Romeo and Juliet theme, and then you'll get like Pink Panther and like Inspector Gadget, and I'm like, what the hell? Oh my god!
I forgot.
The music
songs
choices are interesting.
The songs, like the actual songs, oh my god, like, since this is like the 5th or 6th time, I'm like, I know some of the words, like, I would be singing along with it.
And the girl that does the main theme of the theme of the show, like, the actual show's theme, her voice is so pretty. Like, I know of her because her voice just, like, it fits it fits, and like the lyrics of the song, of like the main song, like really fit, and the choice of music is just very, I don't know, eclectic. It's just interesting. Like I said, there were times I was like, why? I'm like, wow, Romeo and Juliet's theme, wow, some K-pop popular music thing, and then you'll get like, I don't know. I was just like, it's just very interesting.
Yeah, there's moments where like just the song, like whenever one of the songs would play, sometimes it's like, that's gonna make me cry.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, why you gotta play the songs like at this moment? It's just gonna make me cry even more.
That's the point.
So it's just like, it really does add to the overall story. And I love the like happy peppy parts with the music, and then like the softer OST. Oh baby, I love you, yes I do. I love that song. I love that one. I love the other one, the sad one, the goodbye my loved one. Oh my god, that shit,
that was pretty.
that shit makes me cry.
Yeah,
like,
song's a good song. I like.
My god,
it just hits you, like it hits you like.
Well, of course, they always have to play the "Goodbye My Love" shit like right after
like
a
every
sad
5
ass,
minutes.
a sad ass part where it's like all silent and shit, and like one of them's looking longingly or something at the other.
It has to play like 3 times an episode.
They really know when to put where the songs work well. Anything you have to say about the songs, the music, Chantal?
Oh, excuse me. I was holding that yawn in for a while. No, like yeah. I mean, the songs were like. I remember you being like, "Oh, I don't want to cry right now because I'm saving my tears for later."
Yeah.
They're overall like definitely add more to like the scene for sure.
Yeah. So I think now we're done just talking about the show and everything. Let's see any last things. Oh, okay. So I like the way I tell time with this show is to just look at Gun's hairstyle. You know exactly like what point of the fucking story you're in, cause like his hair changes like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, like
during the show, and I don't know. I just like that kind of like tells you what state of mind he's in, I guess.
Yeah,
which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There are some hairstyles I'm like, why the fuck does his hair look like that? It looks terrible. Like at the very end, like, why did they make his hair look like that?
All like flat on the top.
I hate it. I hate how his hair looks at the very end.
I like his little swoopy hair. Swoopy hair and his like little like buzz, like his little really short one, like the second from the last one.
Yeah.
Like when he first like after the time skip, like the 3-year time skip, I was like, oh my god, he looks good.
Yeah. Also, I like the show because like literally everyone is super attractive.
True.
Everyone's hot in this show.
Like legit, after I saw
everyone.
After that, I was like, I need to look up these actors, like what else they're in, because
they still look like that.
Yeah.
So they age very well, these K-drama actors. Which is why they will have very long careers in K-dramas. Okay, so I just have some questions. Okay, so my first question, because nobody asked us questions. Thank you, listeners. I'm just kidding. Sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. It really doesn't matter. So I always try to make up questions. Okay,
that's okay.
So my first question for you guys: how does this series compare to other dramatic stories you've seen? It doesn't have to be. I mean, I know this was your first K-drama, Chantal, but I'm just saying dramatic stories in general. So like anime, movies, other kinds of TV shows, whatever, books, manga, whatever you guys have come across. How does it like compare in terms of like the drama and everything?
I kind of touched about it just like a little while ago, like at the beginning, how like. Oh man, I found so many similarities to Jane the Virgin, which is like one of my favorite drama shows, like American dramas, I guess you can say, even though it's technically, I guess you could say, label it as a telenovela because, they take those telenovela tropes into this. And like dramatic wise, oh my, I can't tell you like how eerily similar these two are. Like, I definitely think you'll like it if I ever end up picking this, which I have to now ever since like watching Fated to Love You. Like it just gave me those vibes. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna love this for sure. Because Jane the Virgin is very much dramatic, but again, it's because it has like that label as like a telenovela tropes, but they make them like really unique. But yeah, like even when they did like the whole at the beginning when they get together that first night, like they do something similar to that too in Jane the Virgin too, which I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's good, man.
How does it compare to other stuff we've like seen or whatever? Or
other dramatic stuff that you've seen, like just personally. Like it doesn't have to be stuff we've talked about previously on here. But
yeah, okay. I would say in terms of like story wise, it was a very enjoyable story. Because there are times when I've seen things when like even other K dramas were like the story will start out good, and then it'll just like fall, and like other movies and stuff like that. But it was very enjoyable. I like just the characters overall, like are just like not one note. The music is good, the acting is good. It's just it's like one of, I wouldn't say one of my favorites, but it's up there for sure. It's one I would watch it again for sure.
Because this was my first K-drama. In terms of like other K-dramas I've seen, I mean, it's very tropey. Again, you get the amnesia thing, you get the hit by a car thing, you get the like like tsundere kind of like character in there. You have like the like, you know, plucky young main character who, you know, wears glasses, whatever. But in terms of like compared to other K-dramas, I think it's definitely up there, top dog, like one of my favorite K-dramas, next to like Boys Over Flowers and like Playful Kiss, which is another really good K-drama. I think those two are like some of my other favorite ones that I've seen.
And I also want to say this, like in terms of the other versions, it's one of my favorites. I know like the Taiwanese one is like the original kind of, but I looked at each one, like a little bit of each one, and I would say that this one's like the favorite out of all the versions that I've seen that are like available.
I feel that's very true for a lot of K-drama versions of stuff, because again, it's the same with Boys Over Flowers. I feel like the K-drama is the best version of that story.
Yeah, because the Chinese one, that was okay. The Japanese one's not very good. The Taiwanese one, I just didn't like. I looked at it it's on Netflix, the Taiwanese version, and I just didn't like the way the way it was shot. It was weird. Like, I don't know. But I just like I just really enjoyed this version out of all of those ones. Next question.
Okay, my next question is, how much did you cry?
How much did we cry?
Yeah, how much did you cry?
Not much. Not until like the accident happened. Because up until that point, I didn't really cry. Like I said, the relationship kind of got like, I kind of like started falling for the relationship, but I wasn't to the point where like their relationship would like bring me to tears. But when the car accident happened, and then like her in the hospital having to deal with that, that's the point where I started like tearing up. I kind of did. That was one of the only points, and then them getting married at the end. Those are like the only points. Like I still enjoyed it, but it didn't like make me cry like every time. And that's not new for someone like me. I cried at everything. Not saying it was bad. It's just like, it wasn't bad. It just, of course, I loved it, of course, but those were the only 2 points where I like actually like shed tears.
Crying wise, I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
You heard me. And how many, like, every time I would feel like the tears coming in, I would start like making noises and be like, oh, like, don't.
I feel
like, how can you not cry, honestly? Like, it's so hard not to cry, like all these little bits and pieces that you get, and then like it's just so, like, how can you not cry? Like, come on.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I mean, you were there when I was watching it too. I feel like it's easy to tell when I'm crying because I don't say anything.
Yeah,
like I'm trying not to.
You're like really quiet.
I'm trying not to say anything, and like you could just hear me sniffling.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard you sniffling.
Dude, I would be sniffling like every 5 goddamn minutes, man. I'm pretty sure I cried like at least once or twice, like every episode. But also, I've seen this like 5 or 6 or 7 times. So like, I cry for like legit everything, just because like I know all the motives and everything behind all the characters, so it's
all the
just
reasons
like,
and everything.
Yeah, so it's just like of course I'm gonna fucking cry. Like, so
I mean, if I saw this again, I probably would cry more. But
so like I cry every time I watch this show, more than I probably should, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I literally cry for like the dumbest shit. So anyways,
it's okay. I remember you were holding back your tears every now and then. You'd be like, I'm saving my tears for later.
Dude. I would be, exactly. I'd be like,
especially when the songs would come up, you would be like, I don't want to cry right now because something else is gonna happen. And I was like, should I brace myself?
No, it's just like, oh my god, my face. But yeah, so, you know, if you ever hang out with me, loyal listeners and we're watching something together and it's something like that I am very emotionally attached to or some shit, if I'm not saying anything, you just hear sniffling, I'm fucking cry like Niagara Falls falling down my eyes, because that's how I cry when I watch this show. Is like, it's not just like oh little tear, no, it's like big fat tears rolling down my chubby ass cheeks. So yeah, enough of that question.
Next.
Okay, my other question is, I have 2 more questions. So okay, this one says, does this make you, this is really I mean you can still answer this one, Erica, but this one's more I guess for Chantal because this is her first K-drama, but
go ahead.
Does this make you want to explore more dramas, I guess more K-dramas, like more than other kinds of dramas?
Yes. And I think that, I mean, you guys could probably see if you follow me on Twitter, because, like, me, you, and Danny had, like, a full-on conversation about K-dramas.
Yeah.
And Danny was like, you've never seen one? And I like how she's, like, on the same wavelength. That's because she recommended Boys Over Flowers, and then you were like, yep.
Yeah, yeah, when I was like, girl, I got you covered, that was what I was gonna pick next.
Yep.
Like, eventually I'm gonna pick Boys Over Flowers, because I feel like Boys Over Flowers is like the gateway K-drama for a lot of people, but since Fated to Love You was the first one I watched, I wanted this to be the first one we talked about on the show. But Boys Over Flowers is definitely, like, if you've never watched a K-drama series before, that's like number 1, I feel like, first thing you need to watch, because it's super because it's really popular, 1, and 2, it's like, it's a cool story. I like the story, and I like the way the K-drama handles it, in terms, like, in compared to, like, the J-drama or, like, the anime. I mean, you can answer the question too, Erica. This is when you want to watch more dramas, I guess.
Watch more? Well, like I said, this is not my first K-drama. What was my first K-drama? Oh my god. No, anyway. Yeah, like, it was not my first K-drama, but it got me interested in, like, seeing other types of dramas from different countries. Like, when I was looking at the scenes from the versions, I would, like, see what was different about them, and then I would kind of, like, branch off into other types of dramas from those countries. Yeah, I would want to look into even more K-dramas now that I've seen this one.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely gonna pick more, because, like,
I have one, but I don't know.
Because, like, I mean, I haven't just seen, like, Fated to Love You and Boys Over Flowers. Like, I've seen, like, probably, like, 3 or 4 other K-dramas.
Me too.
But definitely Fated to Love You really made me want to, when I first saw it years ago, made me really want to, like, explore the K-drama scene. And so, you know, I'm glad Netflix I'm glad Netflix was able to, like, add K-dramas to their lineup of stuff, and then having, like, a Viki account, like, helps as well. But yeah, I definitely,
because there are some good ones. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah, it's definitely like a kind of medium that I think if you like telenovelas, you would like K-dramas. Like, it's the same thing. It's not they're not shot like telenovelas or or like American soap operas. I think that's why I prefer K-dramas, just because I feel like I can get more into the story, because I can tell it's not on like a crappy set. But
because
I think that's why, like,
I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I used to watch soap operas with my grandma and my aunt, and I could never get into them. But like now that I'm, like, got into, like, the K-drama, J-drama, whatever, it's like area, I can just tell, like, the production of these are very, like, they're just like some other level at some points. Like, you can just tell. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a different thing. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm, like, constantly saying that I definitely think you'll like Jane the Virgin, because it's, like I said, it has those telenovela tropes, and it's, like, an American-made show. So it's, like, really, really done well. and it's super dramatic. Like, oh my gosh, like there's even like same like the whole amnesia thing. It's in the Jane the Virgin, and then like dealing with your parents possibly having a disease, and then stuff like real world stuff too that like a lot of Hispanics also go through, but it's done like really really nicely. And then you also have like Jane, who wants to be like a writer, and she gains a little bit of confidence throughout the whole show, thanks to her baby daddy Raphael. And you also have like multiple love triangles and stuff like that. So like yeah, that's why I keep saying like there's just so many similarities between the two. And also having to deal with like losing a loved one, like damn man. But it's done so well.
Yeah.
So I definitely think you'll like it.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to whenever you pick that. Yeah, and Anna mentioned it in the last episode, the K-drama world is like, that's like the Korean Hollywood,
Yeah.
So they have those big budgets and everything. They're able to film in fucking Macau, like out of the country and everything, on location and shit. So it's nice like,
cars, nice clothes.
So when they pull out, they use their big budgets, man.
All the stops there.
Like it's it's really it's like at a higher level than like what we're used to over here in terms of like our soap operas and novellas and stuff. In terms of like at least the budget, because those shows they run on like a TV. I mean, they're popular and stuff, but not to the level.
Are not as big.
Yes, not to the level as like a K-drama would be, or even like a J-drama or a Chinese drama too. Last question: if you were to pick, who would you pick, Gun or Daniel? If it was you.
Oh my god,
I'd pick Gun.
Why? Why would you ask this?
Because I want to torture you.
You want to torture me? Wow, thanks.
I want to torture the audience too. Answer that question in the comments, please.
I don't know, because each of the between Gun and Daniel.
Yeah, who would you? Yeah, who would you pick? If it was you.
Chantal, can you go first? It's gonna take me forever to think this.
But yeah, I would pick Gun. I mean, already like straight to the point, man. Because Daniel, I feel like he would not like. I feel like we would also be on the same wavelength, and I need somebody to push me to grow, because like how else are you gonna like get further in life? So in that aspect, like Gun. And also like, how can you not love Gun, man? Exactly. He's a good character, and then that laugh of his is like the best thing in the world, man.
Daniel and Gun, I mean, they have their pros and their cons, I think, but I would also pick Gun because, well, not just because he's like my favorite character, but because like the lengths he's willing to go just for the one he loves. I mean, Daniel goes lengths too, but again, I never saw Daniel as like definite romantic interest for Mi-young, at least on her end. I mean, if it was me personally, I mean, maybe I guess I would have considered those 3 years like us dating, but if I had Gun come back into my life, oh, dude, I would still pick him, so like for sure. Even if me and Daniel are dating for 3 years, I would do the same thing as Mi-young. I wouldn't be able to deny my feelings.
Yeah.
My true feelings. So, also perks. I mean, they're both like successful rich men, so whoever you pick, it doesn't matter. You can get money.
Yeah. They're both handsome men. So.
Yeah, and they're both attractive, so but I would pick Gun.
Gosh, I don't know, like they have, like, as you said, Mia, like when you're answering Chantal's answer or whatever, they both have their pros and cons. They both have things that make them, I guess, interesting. But I'm gonna be boring. I mean, not saying Daniel's boring, but like if it were me, like if I wasn't Mi-young, I'd pick Daniel. I don't know. He appeals to me more. I like Gun. I love Gun. But I don't know. I would pick Daniel. He's just the type of person that I would go for. I mean, I like people that are like outgoing and fun too, but there's just a point.
If it was a different situation, like I definitely would pick Daniel, but I'm going off of like me personally, and if I had experienced the same things that Mi-young goes through, I would pick Gun. But anyways, that's my last question. Again, if you're listening, please answer in the comments who you would pick out of the two. Or if you want to pick between Myung and Seta, who would you pick? I hope it's not Seta, but I mean, if you have a real good ass reason for picking her. With that said, yeah, please, if you guys want to answer all the questions in the comments below, go ahead and do so. I hope you guys enjoyed, people listening. I hope you enjoyed Fated to Love You, because again, it's my favorite K-drama of all time. And I'm really glad we were able to, you know, talk about it and watch it and everything and discuss it. And I hope more people go out and watch it, so I hope you recommend it to other people. So Chantal, please let us know, what did you pick for next month?
I'm so excited because we're gonna talk about Oh Baby. I'm so excited. I've been dying to talk about it, and Mia, she dragged me all the way into hell, man.
I dragged you into literal hell.
I'm grateful for it, man, because like these boys, man. And then like the goddamn story, man, the story. I have so much to say, and I'm dying to talk about it.
Well, I'm excited now that I know you picked up Baby. Oh man, especially because the new lessons just came out.
The new lesson
for the game. So for all you listeners out there, go play Obey Me. It's free to download. It's a Shall We Date game. Lots of cute boys. So
precious beans.
Yes. So be ready for that next month. When we talk about Oh Baby. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. I think that about wraps it up, guys. So thank you for listening. We're gonna go ahead and call that an episode. Thank you guys for joining me once again, Erica and Chantal. It's always a pleasure to talk about stuff with you guys and enjoy things together. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. I would love to get more subscribers, more followers. Please follow us on Twitter. Follow our podcast Twitter.
Please ask us questions.
Yes. Ask us questions when we ask for them.
Please.
Follow our podcast Twitter. Follow our individual Twitters. We all have a Twitter. Everything's in the description down below. Check out our previous episode on Mystic Messenger with our special guest, my best friend Anna, and look forward to next month's episode on Obey Me. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.